I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, shit on my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't hit, I don't slay. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads whizzing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math, I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, I ain't perfect, let them watch me elevating. Got them nauseous, cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the option, woo. Watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead, woo.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC Vegas 82. We got Paul Craig going against Brendan Allen. We have a 14-fight card, a lot of fights to talk about. Yeah, some spots sticking out, like in this card from a betting perspective, from a Draftkings perspective. I think there's some really good fights. I think there's also some fights that I'm not too excited for. But yeah, it's a solid card. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to breaking it down. Before we get into it, if you guys can please do me a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. This is brought to you by Prize Picks. I did get out my Prize Picks video already, so go check that out if you haven't already. If you are new to Prize Picks, use promo code DFSBTN. Get yourself a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. We can talk some Prize Picks today as well. But yeah, I got to talk some betting, some DraftKings, some weigh-ins as well. We had 3 fighters miss weight. Perez actually did go back and ended up making weight. So officially 2 fighters missed weight. So yeah, lots of some chaos at the weigh-ins that I'm always looking forward to talking about. So all right, gonna hit up the chat and then we will get into it here. We got Danny, first one in the chat. What is up, Danny? He says, let's go, Brady. Where you at? I am right here. I was a couple minutes late, but sorry about that. We got Victor in the chat. What is up, Brady? In chat, let's cash these tickets tomorrow. Let's get it. We got an early card tomorrow. Not really sure why, but early card. I think it's starting at like 2 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm looking forward to it. I like me some early-ish cards. We got LJ in the building, ready for a fun card this week, and it should be fun. That is for sure. Any fights are always fun. We got Sean in the chat. What is up, Sean? How you doing? It's tricky. Says, anybody got like a 6 college basketball teams I can parlay and throw this $50 on? I do not, but maybe somebody in the chat does. You better move. You might get knocked out. Heck yeah. What is up? Shoot proof. We got SI saying, let's get it. Brady Pavlovich took that L last week. What do you think about Hooper this week, man? I don't know. I don't know what to do with the Hooper fight. I really don't. I think I'm going to end up staying away. I looked into the fight a little bit more today, and I don't know. It's kind of a mess of a fight that I don't really want to be involved with. But there are some spots potentially sticking out. I don't know if I want to put any money on that Hooper Levit fight, to be honest. Got DB in the building. What's good? What is up, DB? LJ saying, sorry, guys, Brady's going to be late tonight as his baby boy is just about to pop out. Has not popped out yet. I mean, should be any time now. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe the next day, hopefully before Thanksgiving. Like, come on. I mean, let's hurry this up. So hopefully he's here before Thanksgiving starts. We got AK saying, oi, what is up, AK? Vitek saying, what's up, Brady? What is up? What is up? Samuel in the chat say, happy Friday, Brady. Let's make some money. Let's do it. I'm glowing today. Maybe it's just the lighting, potentially. Early card is great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2 o'clock start time. The fight should be over by 8 or 9. So get to have a Saturday night, which we don't really get to have many Saturday nights. Perez looked really good in terms of like what? I mean, I don't think she looked that great, to be honest. She missed weight by half a pound and she had to go cut it. We got Spencer in the building. What is up, Spencer? Appreciate you for hanging out. And are you ready for the minivan life, Brady? I don't think so. I don't think I could rock a minivan. But all right, guys, we're going to get into it. We have a lot to talk about, and I actually want to hear your guys' thoughts on some of these fights, because some of these fights are just, I don't know, they're tricky, and including this first one. So we got Rafael Estom going against Charles Johnson in this fight. sketches me out a tad. So we have Rafael Estom. He is currently around -150. Charles Johnson is +130. So the thing with Estom is he did miss weight today. And not only did he miss weight, but he looked really bad. I mean, it was probably the worst somebody's looked in a long while. Rafael Estom. It looked like his coach was like holding him up. He didn't look great. He looked like he was about to pass out. He looked really, really rough at the weigh-ins, which really concerns me for this matchup. It really does, because the game plan for Estom is going to be coming out here and doing what Machado did, doing what Durden did, and that's getting upwards of 10 takedowns. If this guy's, compromised, he had a really tough weight cut, obviously. Is this guy going to be able to go 3 rounds? I mean, that's a huge concern if you're talking about laying chalk on this guy. So I did not like how Estom looked on the scales. He looked horrible. And the fact that, for his game plan, he's going to have to go 3 rounds. He's not finishing Charles Johnson. It's not happening. Nobody finishes Charles Johnson. If this fight gets extended, which I think it will, what's he going to look like in this second and third round? Charles Johnson, his takedown defense isn't great, but his get-up game's elite. He can get taken down, but he pops right back up. And wrestling is tiring. It's taxing on your cardio. If you don't have 15-minute cardio, you're going to be in trouble. So I don't know. I mean, after the weigh-ins, I kind of don't like Estom here as much as I originally did. And there are some props sticking out. Charles Johnson, the late props. I think the late props are very interesting because I think Estom should go out there, have some success. But, as this fight goes on, I think I worry about his gas tank in general, but with the tough weight cut, I worry about it even more now. And I went and looked at these Charles Johnson late props, and they're stupid. Charles Johnson round 2 +1,400. Charles Johnson round 3 +2,200. Like, if this guy Estom's gassing out and tiring out in that second and third round, those are going to be super live. So I took a quarter unit shot on those. Round 2 Johnson, round 3 Johnson, post weigh-in read here. And I think that's all I'm going to do with the fight. But yeah, I think those late props are going to be super live here if Estom does start to slow down. I don't think I'm going to take a shot on the Johnson money line. Although it's honestly, after the weigh-ins, it is kind of tempting at plus money, to be honest. Because like I said, the game plan for Estom is going to be going out there shooting 15, 16, 17 takedowns. Like, let's take a look at what, Machado did. And by the way, Machado and Cody Durden, they're proven fighters. Estom's not. This is going to be Estom's toughest test. So against Cody Durden went out there and attempted 18 takedowns. Against Machado went out there against Charles Johnson and attempted 26 takedowns. Like, if Estom's attempting 26 takedowns, you got to think he's going to tire out. So I think those late props for Johnson are solid. At this point, it's a dog or pass. I can't lay this price tag on Estom after seeing the weigh-ins. And I think from a Draftkings perspective, I think I still like Estom here from a Draftkings perspective because his path to victory is going and getting like 10 takedowns, right? So, but I might limit my exposure a little bit because I was very high on him from a Draftkings perspective. But after seeing the weigh-ins, I might lower it just a little bit there. Weird fight to start off the card, especially after seeing those weigh-ins. Estom needed his coach to help him walk. Yeah, it was sketchy. It was very sketchy, very bad. Estom looked rough on the scales, very rough. Like I said, probably the roughest I've seen in some time. Johnson late, yeah, I think the late props are going to be there. I think they'll be there. Johnson's takedown defense hasn't been bad either. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's okay. Estom wins anyway. Johnson sucks. Yeah, I think Johnson's super overrated. I think people really overrate him, but we'll see. We'll see if Estom has 3-round cardio here. We got Eric in the building. Shout out to Eric. Eric won the betting breakdown video contest with the parlay. He says, "What's up, Brady? What time will the best bets be at? Buy baby boy DFS onesie with my winning." Yeah, shout out to Eric. He won, and instead of asking for the prize money, he said he's going to give it to me so I can buy something for the baby boy. Yeah, DFS onesie would be sweet. I think you can make those on Amazon. Best bet will not be this week, unfortunately, with the whole early start time. I was not able to find a crew for this week, but in December, we have 3 cards, and they're going to be like packed shows each and every time because we still have a lot to go for a best bet perspective. So, but yeah, shout out to Eric, and I will be shouting you out when I record my betting breakdown video as well. Brady with a very logical. Yeah, I try to be as logical as possible. After the weigh-ins, I'm kind of leaning the other way, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Eileen Johnson, but man, he is frustrating to bet on. That is true. We got Josh in the building. What is up? And win Eric. Win Eric. Eric's a good guy. Eric's a great guy. Always hanging out, always commenting. Appreciate you, Eric. All right. We're gonna move on to the next fight. We got, in my opinion, the worst fight on the card, and it's because it's a Trey Ogden fight. I mean, how terrible are Trey Ogden fights? They're awful. I mean, Trey Ogden goes in there and he's a smart fighter, and I think he's too smart for his own good. I think he goes in there and he thinks too much. He goes in there and he tries his best not to lose. He tries his best not to take any damage, and that's going to make for some piss poor fights. I mean, Trey Ogden's going out there and he looks like he doesn't want to engage. He's going out there and he's point fighting with a lot of these guys, and that's going to be the path here. I mean, he's not going to go out there and stand and bang, get in the pocket with Nicholas Mota, right? Nicholas Mota hits like a truck. So I kind of think Trey Ogden's going to get on his bike. He's going to run away from Nicholas Mota the whole time, and I think this fight's going to be awful. And I think it could be close as well, I mean, if Ogden's going to go out there and frustrate Nicholas Mota, this could look a little bit like the Zellhuber fight, where Ogden did a really good job not doing anything, frustrating Zellhuber, and Zellhuber looked awful in that fight, and I think a lot of that had to do with Trey Ogden just not wanting to engage. So I think we can get a very terrible fight here, a very close fight here. I think the judges might fall asleep. I'm not touching this one. I'm going to pick Nicholas Mota just because I think he's going to want to go in there and actually fight. But, Trey Ogden's a weasel. Trey Ogden's a guy that can go out there and pull off the upset with not doing much. So I'm not touching this fight from a betting perspective. I'm not touching this fight from a DraftKings perspective. Trey Ogden just ruins this fight for me. I really think that. Terrible matchmaking, in my opinion. I thought they could have done a lot better. And weird matchmaking as well. Like when Mota's losing, it's by knockout. Trey Ogden has 0 knockouts. And when Ogden's losing inside the distance, it's by submission. And Mota has 0 submissions. Just a weird, silly fight. And I wish this fight was off the card. So I'm going to take Mota, but I'm not going to be betting it. And not much else to say. I'm not a big fan of this fight, to be honest. Johnson might be a good live bet. Yeah, I think he probably does lose that first round. Johnson wins the fight. Yeah, he could, especially after that tough cut for Estom. I just bet Medic, Ogden, Charles Johnson. I need help. He might need help. I mean, I don't know. Betting on Ogden, I don't know. I think he's terrible, but he finds a way sometimes. Ogden KO of the year. I mean, this guy has no knockouts. I just can't imagine Ogden getting it. He's going to have to throw something to get a knockout. I mean, this guy doesn't throw anything to get a knockout. So I don't know. Maybe Mota's so chinny that like a gust of wind comes into the apex and it knocks him out. Because I don't know. I don't know if Ogden's going to knock out really anybody. So yeah, I'm staying far away from this fight here. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We got Eileen Perez going against Lucy Pudova, another fight I'm not a big fan of. Eileen Perez did miss weight by like a half a pound. She went and she cut it and she ended up making weight. But yeah, I don't really want anything to do with this fight as well. Eileen Perez impressed me though in her last fight, but I'm not sure if that was because she made improvements or she's really good, or if she was fighting Ashley Evans Smith, who just looked terrible. I mean, Ashley Evans Smith looked drunk in that fight. She looked like, I don't even know how to explain it. I kind of felt bad for Ashley Evans Smith. She just looked so terrible. And Eileen Perez went out there and took her down like 11 times. And Eileen Perez was so impressed with her performance in that fight, she actually changed her nickname from Fiona to Nurmagomedov. And it's currently Eileen Nurmagomedov Perez, which I think is pretty hilarious. But yeah, I mean, the game plan for Perez is going to be, bullying Pudova against the cage, pushing her against the cage, taking her down, wearing on her, rinse and repeat. I think that's the game plan there. I don't know. What's the price tag on Perez? Perez is minus 170, Pudova plus 145. Like, I think Perez wins, but I feel like just laying minus 170 on Eileen Perez is just a little bit irresponsible. Because I don't know, that last performance, it could be somewhat of a fluke just because, like I said, Ashley Evans Smith looked like terrible, like horrible. like just awful. And maybe we're overrating her a little bit, but this is kind of what Pudova struggled with in the past. She struggled with fighters taking her down, controlling her, and I think Perez can implement that game plan. So I'm taking Perez probably by decision, but I will not be betting on this fight. On Prize Picks, though, they do have Perez takedowns at 2.5. I think the over on that, the more on that could be solid. Because if she does win this fight, she is going to have to get probably, several takedowns in this fight. But outside of that, I don't have a ton of interest here. Lucy is much bigger and looks more aggressive. Yeah, she does look bigger. On the feet, I do like Pudova. I don't think she's going to have many opportunities at range, unless Perez gasses out or whatnot. But I feel like Perez is gonna be able to control this across 15 minutes. Eileen, the twerk queen, Perez. There you go. I want the dog in both the WMA fights, but have not pulled the trigger. I'm not betting on either of those fights personally. Pudova, round 3, 22-1. She's uglier, so she will have more grit. Okay. I don't think she's, that bad looking, but that's pretty funny though. Pudilova's round 3 and Charles Johnson's round 3 is the exact same, at least on Bet365. The uglier they are, they care less about getting punched in the face. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I don't have much action this weekend. Can't really find my spots. Yeah, kind of a sketchy card. I have some spots I do like, but not going crazy this week as well. All right, yeah, I'm not touching this stupid Perez Pudilova fight. We'll move on to the next fight. We got Lucas Alexander going against Jekka Saragi. And yeah, nothing on this fight for me yet, but there are some spots I'm looking at. One thing that sticks out to me in this fight is, these potential late Alexander props. Jekka Saragi has been to only one decision in his 16 fights, and you can kind of see why. This guy throws caution to the wind. He leaves a lot of openings, and that last fight against Anshul Jubilee just was a terrible look. He got broken in that fight in the second round. He crumbled. He got finished, via TKO against Anshul Jubilee, who I think people are just extremely low on after getting, upset by Mike Breeden, who Mike Breeden's now cut. So yeah, terrible look there. And yeah, Saragi's super dangerous, but he's going to give Alexander the fight he wants, and that's going to be a fight that takes place on the feet. Alexander, 3 losses when he's losing, it's because of the grappling. He doesn't have the best grappling defense. He's been submitted 3 times, and that's not Jekka's game. Jekka's going to go out there and stand and strike with them. And, I think Jekka's a little bit over too aggressive at some times. I think he leaves a lot of openings. And, I really like the striking of Alexander. I don't like him at minus, 650 though, especially after he missed weight. But, I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities here. I think he's going to really beat up the legs. And I can see an attritional TKO here for Lucas Alexander. So nothing here for me yet, but Alexander round 2 plus 450, Alexander round 3 plus 850. I think there's some spots I might take a shot on. I think this should be a very winnable fight for him. And so he missed weight, and then Estevam missed weight. The difference between the two though is Alexander, he looked fine to me. It looked like he didn't really try to kill himself to make weight, whereas Estevam looked like he was about to die on the scale. So yeah, I'm going to stick with Alexander here. And then Alexander late props potentially, but that's all that's really sticking out. From a DraftKings perspective, Alexander 9,300, it's a lot. Not going to have a ton, to be honest, because I feel like if he does win, it's a late TKO or even decision. And then as far as Jekka, not the worst pump play in the world. He's going to try to take off Alexander's head, and maybe he does, but I don't think he's UFC caliber, to be honest. So Alexander late props for me. Alexander by KO, yeah, I'm looking at the same thing. Alexander by KO is plus 105, which is not terrible, I don't think. He doesn't have a ton of knockouts. I think he only has he actually has the second worst finish rate on the card, but I think Jekka does leave a lot of openings. Yeah, 38% finish rate for Alexander, all by knockout. Jekka by sub 22-1, a gust of wind could take down Alexander. The malnourished there, I like it. I don't even know if Jekka Saragi knows what a sub is. He has some subs on his record, actually, though, but they're just against the bottom level guys. I don't know. I mean, Jekka sub would shock me, to be honest. I bet Alexander minus 535. I think you hit that bet there. We got the High Owl saying, "Sup, Brady, sketchy ass card." Yeah, there are some sketchy spots indeed. Based on what you're saying, I'm going for Mota decision only. I won't be touching that trash fight personally, but I think Mota should get it done. Alexander KO round 2-3 plus 330 on FanDuel. The only thing that looks interesting, I like that. I'm going to be playing probably something along those lines. Just want to double check. Because I think it's going to be like an attritional, like TKO. You know, I think the leg kicks are going to add up type situation. I think Jack is going to slow down. Yeah, Alexander round 2 is like plus 450, plus 400. And then round 3 plus 750. So it's not like great numbers, but I think they're all over it. I think they're kind of thinking what I'm thinking here. Kind of think Jekka will be tough enough to survive. Potentially, he didn't look real tough against Jubilee, though. And Jubilee's, I don't know. I don't know what to think of Jubilee. But Jekka's getting started. Hopefully, he gets starched in the second or third round, though. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have Mick Parkin going against Kyle Machado. This is probably going to be my shortest breakdown of the day here. Mick Parkin probably by decision. I feel like this fight's also going to be terrible. Mick Parkin looked good. I mean, I picked him as an underdog in his last fight against Jamal Pogues. He showed really no finishing ability, no killer instinct. He was kind of just content on staying on the outside, being the better striker and outpointing Pogues to a decision. I kind of see the same thing here. I don't think Machado's getting taken down, nothing like that. Machado actually, I think, has some grappling in his back pocket. But yeah, I see this fight taking place on the feet. I think it goes the distance. I think it could be a little bit more competitive, actually, than this line does indicate. Would not recommend laying minus 350 on Parkin, but I think he gets the job done. I think it's by decision, and I think this fight's awful. Yeah, not touching Parkin on DraftKings, 9,200. No, thank you. And quite frankly, I'm not really excited about Machado on DraftKings at 7,000 either. So pass fight for me. What was interesting earlier in the week was the fight goes the distance opened up at plus 250. You know, I think that was probably solid, but now it's minus 155. So that got crushed throughout the week, and rightfully so. I'm not sure either of these guys get a finish. I think it's your typical sloppy, greasy heavyweight fight. So I'm staying away from this one, but the pick is Parkin. Mick Season. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about this guy, but he's Tom Aspinall's training partner. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this matchup. I think they could have made something more fun here. Mick Parkin wins the good fight skills, awful physique title. Yeah, I think he's skilled. I think this guy's skilled. I want to see more of him, though. I mean, that was a good performance against Pogues, but I still feel like we don't know a ton about this Parkin guy. Paul Gregg by KO plus 1050. Yeah, Paul Craig actually has 3 KOs in the UFC, believe it or not. Allen only has 1. Mick Parkin, second round KO. Kyle doesn't have Pogues' boxing ability. I don't think Kyle's actually a terrible striker. I would actually, I think Pogues is probably better, but Pogues didn't show up, that when they fought. Pogues didn't want to be there, it looked like. Basically, Mick is fighting a regional fighter with a trash can record. I can somewhat agree with that. I'm a little bit more higher on Machado than some of you guys, but I still don't think he's amazing. Nobody was on Emmers, and he was optimal. Gordo actually brought up Emmers on the DK show, but yeah, that was just stupid. Emmers first round knockout in 60 seconds. That was quite. If that didn't happen, I would have had a massive day on DraftKings. But yeah, that was annoying. Paul Craig looks chiseled at 185. He looks good. I hit the Paul Craig KO prop. But not playing it this time. Yeah, I would lean sub personally if it happens. All right. We'll move on to the next fight. We have Christian Leroy Duncan going against Dennis Tuoluen. And Christian Leroy Duncan must have an incredible manager because he was supposed to fight Cesar Almeida, which was a tough matchup, to be honest. I mean, Cesar Almeida is, I think, legit. And then he goes from Cesar Almeida to the easiest possible matchup on the roster outside of Jamie Pickett. I mean, I guess they could have gave him Jamie Pickett, but maybe Jamie Pickett maybe declined the fight. I don't know. But I think, between Dennis Tuoluen or Jamie Pickett, those are the 2 easiest possible matchups they could have given Christian Leroy Duncan. So yeah, I was actually shocked to see that the line opened up where it did. It opened up like Christian Leroy Duncan minus 350. I'm like, only minus 350 against Dennis Tuoluen? But yeah, I got smashed. He's now minus 500, rightfully so. Yeah, I will have a bet on this fight. Nothing yet, just due to the fact that we don't have any props yet. No props yet, only on Bet Online. But I'm going to have a pretty big bet on Christian Leroy Duncan to win inside the distance. So the money line is minus 500. The inside the distance right now is minus 150, which is not terrible. But I want to see what some of these other books come out with. Went back and I actually watched Duncan's whole career today as much as I could. And yeah, this guy's a finisher. His striking's really good. He has a ton of power, lots of variety on the feet. And I did see a fight where he shot a takedown, got right into mount. He took the back. He flattened the guy out and subbed him. And Christian Duncan, that would be the game plan here. I mean, Dennis Tuolumne's ground game is the worst I've ever seen. I don't think I can think of somebody with a worse ground game than Dennis Tuolumne. Dennis Tuolumne's ground game is so bad that I bet the Gregory Rodriguez submission prop last time, right? And Gregory Rodriguez took him down, landed like one punch on top, and then Dennis was out cold. I mean, it was honestly, it was hilarious. I lost the bet, but it was hilarious. His ground game is so bad that he didn't even get subbed. He got TKO with like one punch. It was embarrassing. So I think if you're Christian Leroy Duncan, take this guy down on the mat and you're running through him. On the feet, I think he's going to potentially knock him out as well. Dennis Tuolumne has 40% striking defense. He's coming in here on short notice, but yeah, the path to victory is to take this guy down. So I'm going to be having a bet on Christian Leroy Duncan inside the distance. Nothing yet because nothing's really out yet. And then I'll also be potentially sprinkling the sub at hopefully something good. On Bet Online right now, it's plus 800, but maybe you can get something better on some of the other books. Christian Leroy Duncan, he does have one sub, but yeah, Dennis Tuolumne's been finished 6 times, 4 of which come by submission. I think if he takes him down, the sub's going to be very live there. So yeah, inside the distance, small sprinkle on the submission, but I'm going to have a big play on Christian Leroy Duncan in some type of fashion. And then I'm going to have a ton of them on DraftKings as well. 8,500 as a minus 500 favorite. There's a lot of value on Christian Leroy Duncan this week from a DraftKings perspective. And as far as Dennis Tuolumne, I can't get there. I mean, I'm not sure he's UFC caliber. I think he's the second worst fighter in the division behind Jamie Pickett. He's a brawler with no striking defense, willing to eat one to give one, no ground game. Christian Leroy Duncan should do whatever he wants here. So, yeah, give me Duncan inside the distance. Pretty big here. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. And yeah, hopefully they get these props out by the time the fights start. I mean, the fights start early tomorrow, so I'm hoping they get the props out within the next couple hours so I can record my betting breakdown video tonight. Leroy Jenkins, yes, sir. You got Forrest saying, Brady, you don't get enough credit for your accuracy when making UFC fight picks. You were dead on with Alex versus Yuri and Aspinall Pavlovich. Your money, Brady. Money, appreciate that for you. Yeah, the picks last couple of weeks have been good. The bets have been hit or miss. I'm more concerned about the bets, so I'm not that happy. But yeah, the picks the last 2 weeks, I've only gotten like 3 wrong in the last 2 weeks. From a pick perspective, at least. But like I said, it's the bets that matter to me the most. Picks, they are what they are. Dennis is so bad. How is this guy in the UFC? I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure how he's still in the UFC. Can anyone trust CDL after his performance last time? Yeah, I think people might be low on him. And but I mean, this is a gigantic step down, going from an actual fighter, an Armen Petrosian, to Dennis Tuolumne. CDL first round sub. Melon, you always have like some hot takes. I mean, I 100% agree with you there. I think the first round sub is going to be there. On short notice should be an easy win. I agree. Dennis is wash. Wash could be a word, I guess. In his prime, oh my gosh, there it is. He'd be top 5. Dennis Tuolumne. I don't know. We got our guy Lou Betcha in the building. Brady, don't you dare have that kid next Friday. Don't you dare. I hope not. I'm hoping, the kid arrives before Thanksgiving. Would not like it to be on Thanksgiving. I mean, that would be terrible. But yeah, Lou's birthday is next Friday. So we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens. I will keep you updated. Did you see Hooper at weigh-ins? He seemed oddly large compared to Levit. Yeah, I mean, he's a big dude. He's like, 6'3"? He's huge. I think Levit's maybe 6'1". No, 5'9". So Hooper's 6'1", Levit's 5'9". So yeah, Hooper's much bigger, at least on paper, and had a size advantage as well. Dennis trains with Russians drinking vodka. Short notice is fine. Yeah, I bet he does a lot of that. That's for sure. All right. We'll move on to the next fight. We have Jose Johnson going against Chad and Helinger. Yeah, so I'm actually excited for Jose Johnson to be in the UFC. This is a guy that I've watched a lot. He's fought a lot of good competition outside the UFC. So yeah, he's a guy I do like, but Jose Johnson's one of those guys that you don't really want to bet as a favorite, especially as like a minus 205 favorite, just because he is kind of flaky. Like, this is a guy that, loses, some fights that he probably should go out there and win. His takedown defense is non-existent, which isn't going to matter here in theory, but he has no takedown defense. I don't think he has the best submission defense. He's been finished a lot. So yeah, Jose Johnson's a guy I don't really want to bet this big of a favorite price tag. But as far as a pick, I think you got to pick Johnson here. He's going to have a 6-inch height advantage. He's going to have like a 7.5-inch reach advantage. Chad Hellinger is a guy that I've never really been too high on, but he's tough. He's never been knocked out in 18 fights. I think that's something to mention. So I'm not sure how this fight's going to play out. I'm not sure if there's going to be any grappling here. I'm not sure if there is any grappling, who's going to have more success. I actually think Johnson has a sneaky submission game, but I think this probably does primarily play out on the feet. And when it does, it's going to be Johnson that is going to have a massive reach advantage. He's probably going to have the power advantage. It's just I'm not sure if he finishes in Helinger or if Helinger is going to be tough enough to last the full 15. I'm kind of leaning, this fight does go the full 15. So yeah, it's a fight I'm going to stay away from. So yeah, don't mind Helinger actually on DraftKings. He is so much cheaper just due to the fact that Johnson does drop the ball a lot. Like, at the end of the day, Johnson does have 8 losses. So yeah, I wouldn't go out there and parlaying Jose Johnson, but as far as a pick, I'm going to go with the younger guy, the bigger guy, and as somebody that I do really like in Charles Johnson. Just not a big fan of this price tag. After seeing Brito on the scales, I am thinking the dog is getting smothered. He looked fine to me. Well, you didn't like his tattoos or what? I thought Brito looked fine. Yeah, Johnson probably by decision. Yeah, Jose Johnson by decision. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way as well, but nothing really sticking out from a betting perspective to me. Not often the main event is a 100 gambler fight, but hard to get 2 more unreliable fighters. You said it best, man. Brendan Allen, untrustworthy, unreliable, and then Paul Craig, his fights are just chaos. His fights are just complete madness. You never know what to expect with both those guys. So yeah, I agree. I'm not touching that Allen Craig fight, to be honest. I think Chad is tougher than we give him credit. Yeah, he's tough. When Chad's getting finished, it's by sub, and those sub losses were a while ago, like a while ago. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning decision, but nothing really sticking out. Jose points, but you can't count out a Chad. That you can. Should be a fun fight. All right. Let's move on to the next fight here. We have my favorite fight on the card, a card that I have a couple bets on that I don't mind. We got Joe Anderson, Breu going against Jonathan Pierce. So, this is the first fight I looked into last week. The first thing that stuck out to me was violence, and kind of how I'm seeing this fight play out. And I think how a lot of people are seeing this fight play out is Joe Anderson, Breu early or Jonathan Pierce late. I think those are 2 very live outcomes. On the feet, Jonathan Pierce is very hittable. On paper, his striking defense is 55%. But at distance, his striking defense, I think, is like low 40s. Like, it's not great. He's very hittable. And you watch a lot of Jonathan Pierce fights, right? He is getting hit clean, and he's super tough, don't get me wrong. But he's getting hit clean against a lot of these guys. His chin's held up thus far, besides Joe Lozon, but his chin's held up so far. But I went back and looked at, who Jonathan Pierce is fighting. Darren Elkins, grappler, no power. Makwan Marcani, grappler, no power. Christian Rodriguez, decent striker, decent grappler, not a ton of power. Kai Kamaka, not really any power. Joe Lozon is like 40. And then the I guess the hardest hitter he's fought was probably either Lozon, who knocked him out, or Omar Morales. So he's not really fighting a ton of hard hitter. Joe Anderson Breu is a very, very hard hitter. He knocked out Andre Fili in 41 seconds. That's not easy to do. So yeah, I think, Pierce on the feet could potentially get clipped here early on. And then also, Jonathan Pierce, he leaves himself in a lot of bad spots on the mat. He was in a bad spot against Kai Kamaka. He was in a bunch of bad spots against Christian Rodriguez. I thought Christian Rodriguez was going to finish a couple of those submissions as well. I'm not sure what other fight it was. I think on the Contender Series, he was in other really bad spots. Yeah, he puts himself into really bad spots, and doing that against a black belt and Joanderson Brito could be a problem. So I think Joanderson Brito is very live for either a knockout or sub within the first 7.5 minutes of this fight. But if this fight does get extended, if this fight does reach the second round, it's going to heavily favor Jonathan Pearce. Pearce's cardio, pace, and pressure is some of the best in the UFC. He drowns guys with the volume, with the wrestling. He makes guys quit, and he gets them out of there late. I was actually shocked to see some of these prices on the Jonathan Pearce late props. Like that's literally how he wins. I think it's going to be late here for Jonathan Pearce. So what I did, instead of playing the fight doesn't go, which I think is solid, or the under 2.5, which I think is solid as well, I have 1.5 units on Joanderson Brito to win inside the distance, plus 165. I think Brito is super live for a finish here. I think if anybody's finishing Jonathan Pearce, it is Joanderson Brito. But I also have a half unit shot on Pearce round 2, plus 800, and then Pearce round 3, plus 1,400. Like, I couldn't believe these Pearce round props. Like, they're stupid. Like, it shouldn't be plus 400 for a Pearce round 3 prop. They're just crazy numbers. So I played them both. That's kind of my way of playing violence. If Joanderson Brito gets a finish in round 1, 2, or 3, going to finish up, I wrote it down like 1.5 units just about. And then if Pearce gets a finish in the second or third round, it's going to be a big payout as well. So as long as this fight finishes, it should be a pretty big payout either way. If it goes the distance, down 2.5 units, but I was planning on putting like 2.5 units on the fight doesn't go regardless. That was one spot that really stuck out to me this week. So Brito early, Pearce late. I think somebody's getting served. And I do think Brito potentially serves Pearce here. From a DraftKings perspective, this fight is must target. I mean, there's not a lot of underdogs I like on this slate, but Joanderson Brito is like the one that I do not mind. But at the same time, Pearce is a DraftKings monster. He breaks guys. He finishes them late. He gets takedowns. He gets a lot of volume going. So, yeah, I think it's a must-target fight on DraftKings. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. You're really looking forward to this Brito Pearce fight. Brady, what do you grade this UFC fight card, given that it's got 14 fights and it starts early? 1 out of 10? Like a 6. I mean, there's some terrible fights on this card. Like, who the heck wants to sit there and watch 15 minutes of Mick Parkin or 15 minutes of Trey Ogden or Eileen Perez? I mean, some of these fights are terrible, but yeah, some of these fights are good. Like the main event, Alan Craig's amazing. Michael Morales fight should be fun. We get to see Peyton Talbot. That should be fun. The Medic fight. Yeah, there's some good fights and some bad fights. I was surprised Brito was the dog, even though the line is close. Yeah, a lot of people split either way on it. I think there's some people really confident on either side. Draw could be in the play here. Draw was a 10-8 opportunity on both sides. Brito round 1, GSP round 3. You're welcome. Thank me later. Maybe I might actually sprinkle that. That makes sense. Brito getting the finito. He could. JSP is tall enough to take the back easy, especially as the fight goes on, I think, but we'll see. Mick Parkin is the next Stipe. That is a bold statement to say the least. Very bold statement there. We will see if you're right. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We got Uros Medic going against my titty back Oral Boy. We got Medic, 30 years old, 6'1" with a 71-inch reach. We got Oral Boy, he's 5'10". Not sure on the reach there, so it's gonna be Medic that's bigger. And actually, at the weigh-ins, Medic looked like a lot bigger than that 3-inch height advantage does indicate. So I don't know. I mean, this fight, I had no clue who Oral Boy was when I first saw it. I went and watched this guy's fights, and I was very impressed. I was very impressed with Oral Boy. This is a guy that has power on the feet. He can wrestle. He can grapple. And I'll be honest, if he was coming in here on a full camp, I would probably be picking him here. But, it's such short notice. And, these short notice fighters have been not looking good lately. I can't remember the last short notice fighter that came in here and won. And typically when we do get these short notice fighters like this short notice, they're always big dogs. But my titty back is a favorite, which kind of shocked me because I was taping the fight, right? And I was like, man, I'm probably going to take my titty back as a big dog here. People have no clue who my titty back is. I'm going to take this guy as a big dog. And then you look at the line, it's like minus 150 favorite. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Medic, but I think, he's getting a little bit counted out here. I mean, Medic is going to be bigger. He's had a full camp. He's fought the better guys by a mile. So, it's a dog or pass situation for me. But with that said, I don't want to really step in front of either guy here. I think Medic is solid. I think Medic is getting better. I think Medic is the real deal. He's shown that he can go into the third round and get knockouts. I mean, that performance against Semelsberger was a good performance. He got into some trouble early. He battled some adversity, and he came back and got a late finish. I love that performance. And then as far as my titty back, I think this guy's legit, only 25 years old. Like this, my titty guy could be very good. He could be very, very good. So, yeah, high-level matchup here. High-level matchup, dog or pass. I'm passing. I'm going to sit back and watch this one. The fight doesn't go at minus 200. It seems like too good to be true. Kind of seems like a trap to me. I don't know. Nothing's really sticking out to me on this fight. From a DraftKings perspective, it's kind of weird because we have Medic as a dog at 8,900. You don't really see that all too often. And then my titty boy is 8,400. So I think I'm going to be a little bit higher on my titty. And then as far as Medic, I think Medic, as far as like a low-owned dart throw, could be solid because nobody's going to play him at 8,900 as a big dog, or as a medium-sized dog. So solid fight to target on DK. I'm going to pick Medic, but I don't really have a strong lean or take on this fight. I would like to see Oral Boy on a full camp, but that's not the case here. All right. Yeah, we got the Oral Boy in the building. Medic was about to get ethered by Parsons. He got lucky, but Oral still shouldn't get this for Mother Mongolia. Yeah, I did want to see that Parsons fight. I was really looking forward to seeing that Parsons fight. Opening odds were minus 110, minus 110. Yeah, all depends on the book. On Bet Online, Medic actually opened up a minus 155, and then let's see, Oral Boy opened up plus 135, and that line flipped like in a second or two. Funny enough, Medic was one of the last dogs that won on short notice off the top of my head. Yeah, he did come in there on short notice. I was pretty high on Semelsberger in that fight, to be honest. And yeah, Medic proved me wrong. One guy has a cool hat. The other guy doesn't. Easy pick for me. It's good. It's a good capping strategy. I mean, I cannot debate you at all in that. I mean, one guy has a very cool hat. I want my titties back. Heck yeah. What a name. Oral Boy, my titty back. Yeah, that's a great name. It is a great name. You had some dope picks on Dana White's Contender Series. You convinced me Hardwick was in for it. Someone of your MMA knowledge should recognize an uber prospect like Mick Parkin. Uber prospect. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you're just higher on him. I think he's good. I think I picked him to win as a dog in his last fight. I'm picking him to win this fight. I mean, it all depends on the matchup, but I don't know. We'll see if he's an uber prospect or not. I mean, you could be right. I don't know. I think he could be solid in heavyweight divisions because there's a lot of really bad heavyweights. Like, I think this guy can go out there and beat like Chase Sherman, Jared Vandera, Chris Barnett, et cetera, but I don't see him beating like a top 5 guy like a Tom Aspinall, Sergey Pavlovich, Derek Lewis, none of that, at least not anytime soon. So we'll see. My titty boy. Medic is free money. Yeah, man, it's a dog or pass. It's dog or pass. It's Medic or pass. You know, I think Oral Boy's good, but the line just doesn't make a ton of sense. I think this fight should be fun to watch for what it's worth. Oh, it should be very fun. Very fun. Brady the GOAT, bless you. Appreciate you. I think he was being sarcastic. I don't know. Gino, are you being sarcastic or not? Do you think Parkin is an uber prospect or not? I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not. I don't know. I really can't tell. I don't know if you think that or not. Help me out. Still waiting on the props for this one. The Medic fight. Yeah, no props on the Medic fight yet, and then no props on the Duncan fight yet. So we'll see. Hopefully get him out soon. Like I wanna get my action in. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Amanda Hebos going against Luana Panero. I mean, easy pass here. This is one of those fights where, I mean, it's pretty clear, in my opinion, who the better fighter is, and that's Amanda Hebos. I think she's better everywhere. I think she's the better striker. I think she has more volume. I think she's the better wrestler, the better grappler. I think she's fought the better competition. The one problem with Hebos, though, is the durability. I mean, she's like the Malcolm Gordon of the strawweight division. Her chin is very questionable. I don't think I've seen a WMA fighter get hurt as much as I've seen Hebos get hurt, to be honest. Like, off the top of my head, I don't know, maybe Liang Na, but that's completely different. So I don't know. I mean, Hebos's durability is concerning, and when we're talking about laying like minus 230, I mean, I don't know. I can't. The one Panero, I don't think she's that great, but she does have power, and that's kind of the one thing that Hebos has struggled with. I think the finish only for Panero's decent, I suppose. It is plus money. I don't hate that, but I think it's probably Hebos doing the better work across 15 minutes. And as long as she doesn't get hurt or knocked out, I mean, I think she probably wins like a clean 30-27. It's just that kind of is an if. That kind of is an if. That's kind of something we got to be worried about from Amanda Hebos is her durability. So yeah, I'm passing on this fight. Finish only for Panero would be like the only thing I would potentially look at, but I'm not in love with that. From a Draftkings perspective, I can't really get to Hebos at 9K. Panero at 7,200 makes some sense. If she does win, it's potentially by knockout even. I mean, Verna Jandaroba dropped Amanda Hebos. I mean, that tells you really everything you need to know. So, yeah, Panero on DK or bust. Not too excited for this fight. Hebos should win, but it's kind of hard to trust her chin there. I think I said my titty with the T. Parkin looks solid. What's with the hate? He beat Poe. I mean, I'm not hating on Parkin at all. I just said he's not beating Tom Aspinall or Pavlovich. I mean, if you think that's hating, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm picking Parkin to win this fight. I picked him to win his last fight as a dog. I don't know what to tell you. Don't talk about, hey, she's my Liang Na. First of all, she's my Liang Na. Luana KO plus 500. They both have the same skill set, and one has 0 chin. I mean, if that's, if you want to play something in this fight, that's probably what you got to play is, that KO prop. Hold on, Brady, did I hear you right? Did you say base all your parlays around Hebos and round robin her? I said that. I said put her into all your parlays, top ticket as well. No, I did. I would never say anything like that. Especially fighting an opponent with a 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Chin. Yeah, and Chin's concern. Parkin wouldn't even beat Derek Lewis, let alone a top 5. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a hot take. I think Derek Lewis beats him, so on and so forth. But, Parkin's still young. I'm shocked we've talked about Mick Parkin this much, but apparently, people are in love with this guy, which is fine. We all have our favorite fighters. Is Pudova any good? I don't think so, but she's a pretty popular dog this week. I mean, I wouldn't lay minus 170 on Perez. I'm not betting that fight though. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Peyton Talbot going against Nick Aguirre. We got Peyton Talbot as the biggest. I love it. The biggest favorite on the card, minus 700. Some late monies actually came in on Aguirre. Talbot was like minus 800, 850. So, yeah. So I have a couple bets in this fight. The first bet is, so the over 1.5 got completely pounded all week. It's probably the most popular play of the week, which is fine. I agree with it. I think this fight does go over 1.5, but the over 1.5 got so pounded that, money poured in on even the fight goes the distance as well, and ended up, so the fight doesn't go the distance, was minus 260 at open, and I got it on DraftKings. It's still there at minus 150, which is very interesting because I do like violence here. It's a striker versus grappler matchup. Nick Aguirre is going to be dangerous in the early going, but Peyton Talbot's a guy that just drowns people. Kind of like a Jonathan Pierce. He just drowns you with the volume, the pressure, the pace. This is a guy in Peyton Talbot, who has, he has 6 wins. 5 of them are inside the distance, And all 5 of those wins come in the second or in the third round. This guy has no first round finishes, Peyton Talbot. No first round finishes. So he breaks you. He puts a lot of volume on you. And I think that Talbot has just the most significant striking advantage I think I've ever seen. I mean, the striking is not even close. I went back and watched Nick Aguirre, his fight against Dan Argueta. And Dan Argueta was like piecing this guy up. I mean, outlanded him like almost 3-1 at distance. Dan Argueta, I mean, the wrestler. I mean, the striking's not even close. I think Aguirre is very hittable. I don't think his striking is anywhere near the level of Peyton Talbot. Like, Peyton Talbot's going to school this guy on the feet. It's not even going to be close. So, yeah, I mean, I like the fight doesn't go. I think Aguirre, if he gets him down, he's dangerous, whatnot. But as this fight goes on, it's going to favor Talbot. Talbot's going to start putting it on him. And I think the difference between Aguirre and Reyes Cortez is I think Cortez is a much better striker than Aguirre. I mean, I think Aguirre's striking is just non-existent. I really do believe that. So, yeah, Talbot should have a field day here on the feet. I think he puts it on him, and I think he gets him out of there in the second round. I'm hoping it's not in the first, to be honest, because I think Talbot's so much better than this guy. It might even happen in the first. I mean, Talbot's striking is 50 levels above Nick Aguirre's. So, my first bet is the fight doesn't go minus 150 for 1.5 units. And then I also have I have Talbot round 2. I think plus 450 for a half a unit. And then Talbot round 3, I think it's plus 750 for a half a unit. So 2.5 units invested, looking for Talbot to go out there and get another late finish. I mean, this fight shouldn't really be close. But with that said, Aguirre might have some success early with the wrestling. Pass on this fight. The odds are not correct. I kind of think they're correct, to be honest. I think Talbot should be a pretty big favorite. Like, outside of Nick Aguirre getting a takedown in an early sub, I'm not sure he has much of a shot here. By the way, Nick Aguirre first round sub is plus 3,000. Under 2.5 is minus 120, but the fight doesn't go as minus 200 here. Yeah, all depends on the book. Looks like minus 150 for the fight doesn't go on Draftkings currently. Aguirre first round submission 25-1. You must have forgot the legend of Nick. Yeah, I think that's how he wins. Peyton over 0.5 backflips minus 110 hammer. Yeah, this card's awesome. We got backflips, we got splits, we got twerks, we got it all. This card. Only question is, why is this on the main card over the Breu? Yeah, I'm not sure why the Breu fight especially is not on the main card. And even like Christian, probably because Christian Leroy Duncan dropped the ball in his last fight. It's probably the only reason. But yeah, I think they're trying to build up Peyton Talbot. I think this guy is going to be really good. All right, we'll keep moving on. We got Chase Hooper going against Jordan Levit. So I've been going back and forth all week in terms of betting on this fight or not. Maybe you guys can help me out. Jordan Levit's a very popular underdog. And initially, I thought, I don't know what I thought. Chase Hooper has looked okay recently. But I went back and watched some of his fights today, and I don't know. He puts himself into so many bad spots. He's so hittable. I mean, it's really tough to watch. But yeah, the performance against Felipe Clarish was solid. He finished him in the third. The performance against Nick Fiore was solid. Almost finished him in the second, like the fight could have been stopped. I don't know. I think this is a fight I just might want to stay away from. I thought the Hooper late props might be solid, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to finish Jordan Levit. Jordan Levit has slowed down in the past, most notably against Claudio Poyas, but he was able to survive against him. I don't know. This could get ugly. Like, I could see a lot of different things happening in this fight. And if I bet on this fight and things went wrong, I mean, I would feel very terrible about myself. So I might just stay away here. From a DraftKings perspective, Hooper, when Hooper wins fights, he scores 1 million points on DraftKings. So I think Hooper on DraftKings makes some sense, 8,800. Even Levit on DraftKings makes some sense because there's not a ton of live dogs on this card, but he could be live. So yeah, from a DraftKings perspective, I think I'm going to be pretty high on this fight. But from a betting perspective, I'm not sure if I can really get there. I'm really not sure if I can get to anything in this fight. So I'm probably going to pass. This fight's giving me nightmares every single night this week. And when that happens, I typically want to pass. And even like the Chase Hooper round props are just terrible. Like Chase Hooper round 3 is only plus 1,000. So we're not really getting great prices for him. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to potentially pass on this one. Hooper really filled out at lightweight. Looks like a different person than a few years ago. Yeah, he did. He did. He looks much better. Wow. I can't bring up that comment. Levit saying, or Levit round 1, TKO 22-1. Hooper is fragile. Yeah, I don't think Levit's knocking him out. I was actually shocked when Levit knocked out his last opponent. I had a bet on Levit inside the distance, luckily, but a knockout was something I was not expecting. If he knocks out Hooper, I don't know, I'd be very shocked. But that's a popular take this week. I like Levit in this one. I don't think Chase has enough power to do something on the feet. Yeah, absolutely not. And I think Jordan has better grappling outside of leg locks. I actually like, Chase's grappling more, but I think Levit has the much better wrestling. The much better wrestling. Not all dogs can win in 14 fights, so pick wisely. That is true. All right, yeah, probably going to stay away from that one. We'll move on to the next fight. We got Michael Morales going against Jake Matthews. I do have a bet here on Michael Morales, minus 250. He's currently minus 330, so got some CLV, which scares me, but I do like Morales here. And yeah, I mean, I'm high on Morales. I'm also high on Matthews. I think Matthews is a good fighter. I just think this is a pretty tough matchup for him. I went through and looked at Matthews's career in the UFC, and he's just fought some terrible competition in his wins. Like his best wins are guys like Darius Flowers, guys like Rostam Akhman, guys like Emil Meek, guys like Diego Sanchez, and I think it was a retirement fight. I mean, just some of the worst wins imaginable for Jake Matthews. If he beats Mike Morales in an upset, it'll probably be his best win by a good margin. I mean, Jake Matthews' wins are rough. He does lose to pretty solid guys, though. So I don't like that. And I also don't like the fact that Morales is younger. He's going to be bigger. He's going to have a massive reach advantage, 7 inches. And I think Jake Matthews is not going to get takedowns here. Morales has great takedown defense, 92%. And then I think on the feet, Morales has more volume. I think Morales has more power. I question the durability of Matthews a little bit. I just think there's a lot of ways for Morales to win this fight. So I think the UFC is putting this fight on the co-main event for a reason. I think they're going to continue to try to build up Michael Morales. I think this guy has a lot of upside, and I think this is a very winnable matchup for him. So yeah, give me Morales. I don't know how he gets it done. It could be knockout, could be decision, could be by submission. I don't know, but I'm on the money line for 2.5 units there. From a DraftKings perspective, not in love with this fight. From a DraftKings perspective, I think there's better options than Morales up there. Brendan Allen, I like more. Peyton Talbot, I like more. And then there's some other options I like a little bit more. I don't think it's the worst play in the world, though, but there are some other options I do like a little bit better. I bet Morales. Yeah, I bet him 2.5 units to win 1. We'll see if he can go out there and get it done. I think Levit is going to do one of them leg kick master classes. Yeah, this fight, it could be a terrible fight. It could be a bunch of leg kick. I don't know what's going to happen. Jake Matthews trains like a dog, trains out of Footscray, 15 minutes from my house, the toughest area in Melbourne, Australia. Let's go, Jake. Yeah, he's a dog in general. I think he's a really good fighter. Just kind of a tough matchup here. All right. We'll move on to the main events. Before we get into it, if you guys could, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. There will be no best bet tomorrow. So no best bet tomorrow, but we'll be back next weekend or not next weekend, the weekend after that for some best bet. All right, Brendan Allen going against Paul Craig. Brendan Allen, a massive favorite at minus 440. Paul Craig plus 340. Yeah, I'm not touching this fight. Brendan Allen's a guy that is extremely untrustworthy. He's a guy that he always does the opposite of what you expect him to. When you expect him to strike, he goes out there and grapples. When you expect him to grapple, he's going to go out there and strike. So in this fight, I would expect him to strike. So there's a good chance he goes out there and grapples with Paul Craig. And at minus 440, I mean, if you're betting minus 440 on Brendan Allen and he goes out there and plays in Paul Craig's guard, you're not going to be too happy. But Brendan Allen's a black belt. He's a good grappler in his own right. But, I mean, just going to the ground with Paul Craig is giving him his one opportunity there. So, yeah, I mean, I can't lay minus 440 on Brendan Allen. All the violence props are trash. Minus 800 for the fight doesn't go. The under 2.5, I thought I might get at a playable price. It's minus 275. So I hate the violence numbers. So, yeah, nothing's really sticking out. I can't lay this price on Brendan Allen. At the same time, I don't like this matchup for Paul Craig. With that said, though, I've said that in pretty much every single Paul Craig fight. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not touching anything on this fight from a betting perspective. From a DraftKings perspective, that's another story. I think Brendan Allen, 9400, if he wins, he's going to put up a big score. It's going to be a finish. And then if Paul Craig wins, he's breaking the slate at 6,800. So I'm going to be pretty much all in on this fight from a DraftKings perspective. And that's kind of how I'm going to get my action on it. From a betting perspective, nothing's really sticking out on this one. Just can't trust Brendan Allen. I looked at some Brendan Allen props potentially, but Brendan Allen's one of those guys. If you put money on him, you're throwing your remote through your TV by the end of the night. So they're going to be staying away from the main event, unfortunately. The under is juiced. Yes, it is. The under is juiced. Big time. Big time. Not even worth it. Yeah, I mean, I can't get to an over, but I also can't get to an under. I would lean. I don't know. I feel like this fight potentially could go either way, whether it goes over or under. Watch Paul Craig butcher him on the feet. That'd be hilarious. We got Eric in the building saying, "Good luck this weekend, Brady. Good luck with the baby boy if he decides to come soon." I hope so. Hope you all have an awesome Thanksgiving. You as well, Eric. Appreciate you. Hopefully, you have a great Thanksgiving yourself. Bear Jew via getting rocked and pulling off an armbar. Yeah, that could happen. This is 100% a dog or pass type fight. At the line, yeah. I love the fight goes the distance and split decision for Paul Craig, and that is wild. That is wild. I don't ever really see Paul Craig winning a decision. Morales is Vitor Petrino. Petrino fought while intoxicated. Okay. I like it. All right, guys. We're at about an hour. I'm going to head out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on a Friday. If you guys could, leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Be on the lookout for the betting breakdown video. Be out tonight. I'm hoping they get props out for the Duncan fight because I do want some action on that. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And best of luck for UFC Vegas 82. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you.